To continue, I'm very privileged and honored to welcome our next speaker, Mrs. Rachael Akohonae, if I pronounced that correctly, who is the head of employee relations at BlackRock, which is a key player, obviously, that we all know. She's in charge of the global employee strategy of BlackRock, focusing on employee experience, HR, risk, and compliance. She's a licensed attorney in New York, California, and New Jersey, and she navigates human capital while fostering cultural and industry leadership. She's particularly passionate about empowering individuals, and in doing this, she emphasizes, and this stands out, the importance of embracing inner power for societal benefit. We very much look forward to listening to you. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. Pranams to the Chancellor and pranams to all of you, and especially the conference organizers. It's just been an incredible, magical event, and I'm just so honored to be here and so inspired by all of you. The papers this morning were really a joy, so thank you. Forgive me if I say anything too American. You can tell me what I did wrong afterwards. Okay, I want to start out by asking, is anyone here a stewardess? Are there any flight attendants in the room? Show of hands. Yeah. Oh, you wanted to be. Yeah. I'm not a flight attendant either. But this is a question I had to answer while standing in a document processing center at a law firm I was interning at my second year of law school. I was working on a brief and I was getting it ready for court, and back then nothing was electronic and you had to get the briefs collated in a certain way. So I was down in the document center picking up briefs. While I was waiting to pick up the briefs, and I was wearing my navy suit and my white blouse and my pearls, and I thought I looked very professional. I thought I looked the part. And some man turned to me and said, "Are you a stewardess?" I didn't answer him, and I didn't know what to say, so I just smiled. What on earth would a flight attendant be doing by herself in a document center, in a law firm, not at the airport, on a random Tuesday afternoon? But that was more believable than someone who looked like me, a woman, small, brown. It was more believable that I was a flight attendant than I was a lawyer. I have no doubt if I asked any woman in this room, have you had a similar experience, you would all say, yes, we could spend all day here. In fact, we have. I remember the first time I surprised people for doing things that I was not supposed to do, or doing things well, as if incompetence was the first expected outcome for me. When I was a little girl, when we go out to dinner, I would order for the table. For me, it was quite natural. I was very organized. I had a good memory. And so it was completely natural. And of course, the wait staff, they would laugh and they would look at me, and then they would turn to my parents to make sure that there was approval. So someone else needed to confirm that I was in charge. And I found this very irritating. Why didn't anyone believe that I could be in charge? I knew what to do. It was as natural to me as my ABCs. Back then it was facts, total confidence, unblemished. Back then, with the sail of my confidence high, I didn't smile back then like I did with the flight attendant guy, and rather I gave the waiter a disapproving, blistering glare. Of course, back then I was a child, and it's expected to ask for backup when you're ordering or you're having a position of power. But as I grew up, these questions, are you really? Can you? Are you sure? Followed by suggestions, maybe you should, and then fill in the blank with something less ambitious. Over time, I stopped giving people this disapproving glare because apparently that was also not something I was supposed to do, even when I was being devalued. And instead, I'm supposed to smile and say nothing. I never learned to say nothing. I've never been very good at that. But a polite, if not forced smile is something I learned to do in response to such comments. Comments that, like drops of water, eroded the surface of my confidence, and several made rivers in my mind. Another instance that's bold and italicized in my memory is when I was a senior in high school, and I really wanted to go to UCLA. I was from Massachusetts, and going to school in California was a dream of mine. And my high school advisor told me it was a very hard school to get into, and he encouraged me to make safer choices. And today, I still find his reasoning flawed. Who was it safer for? Was it really safer for me? Or was it safer for you? And when I was admitted, he shook his head in disbelief. And again, what did I do? I smiled, but it was a really big one because I was right and he was wrong. Many such experiences proliferated during and after law school. I would show up in court and someone would ask if I was the stenographer or the paralegal, or they would ask when the partner or person in charge would show up, when was that person arriving. My favorite ones was when I would take a younger or more junior male associate with me to a court or to a meeting, and inevitably they would turn to him and start speaking and ask for the brief. What did I do? Again, I just smiled. How does this happen? And what am I smiling about? It's certainly not funny. It might be safer. And how is it that our friends and our colleagues, our bosses, our daughters, our mothers, our sisters, we've all had these experiences. There's plenty of statistics that demonstrate how and why this happens, and we've seen them over and over again as we've spoken today. I'm only going to go over these briefly because, again, there's been so many statistics today. You saw the statistics that have been presented several times of women in STEM. When we talk about confidence, research dictates or indicates that girls start to lose confidence by around the age 12. And one study in the US found that girls' confidence levels drop significantly from this age, from their self-esteem decreasing about 30% as they transition through puberty. And for the women in the audience, do you remember the first time somebody made a comment about your looks or your hair or your body? I do. I remember this guy, Ross. I was in 6th grade. He told me my arms were too hairy. Isn't that crazy? But I remember it like it was yesterday. We know currently women hold only 10.4% of leadership positions in Fortune 500 companies. Pay inequity, gender-based job discrimination, gender-based violence. The list goes on. I'm not here to depress you with statistics, so I'll stop. But suffice to say that we could spend a significant amount of time talking about these inputs. So this is what we know. This is what we've experienced. No one is making this path easy. There's obstacles. Yet we're all here. We have so many experienced professionals here. We have our students, our male allies. How do we move forward? And who will do it? And of course, you know the answer. We do it. We have to invest in our own power. No one is going to do it for us, even if it's in their interest to do so. And there's a lot that we can do to invest in our own power. First, just let's understand power. It's not just about holding positions of authority. It's about having control over our own lives, the ability to make decisions, to pursue our passions, and to influence the world around us. And for women, investing in our own power means recognizing our worth and embracing our strength and taking charge of our destinies. This is also true of the role of education. Of course, we know education is a powerful tool for women. We've had some conversations about health and well-being. Investing in our own health means taking care of our health and well-being. Of particular note, the physical health is something that we speak about more often, but our mental and emotional health are also foundational in our ability to thrive. We have to prioritize self-care, seeking medical attention when needed, and engaging in activities that promote our overall well-being. Our well-being includes the people that we keep company with, which includes giving ourselves the attention that we often give to our spouse or our friends or our children, siblings, friends. A story that, again, we'll have to go out and have tea is I thought I was healthy because I'm vegetarian and I take yoga. But when my hair was falling out, I knew that I also needed to prioritize my well-being and not just my physical body. When we look at leadership and representation, we have to strive for leadership positions in all areas of life. Representation matters. And having women in leadership positions can really inspire meaningful change. I'm not saying it's easy. Literally 2 weeks ago, I was crying over an additional responsibility that was given to me at work. And the job I have right now was a investment. My previous company I'd been at for 14 years. It was very safe. I was well known. It was very stable. And yet, taking this job at BlackRock almost 4 years ago was one of the best decisions I've made in my career. Of course, we have to talk about economic empowerment, since this is a discussion about economics. Of course, financial independence is a critical aspect of investing in our own power. We have to take control of our finances, whether it's through entrepreneurship, career growth, or smart investments. And economic empowerment provides us the freedom to make choices that are aligned with our values and aspirations. I'd like to take a quick pause here and talk about some research that BlackRock conducted regarding women's investment performance in the US. I'd like to acknowledge, of course, we're talking about women who have economic privilege to make such investments, but nevertheless, no woman is immune from experiencing gender-based impacts. BlackRock's research, and there was a paper this morning that addressed it, is that most long-term investment products don't consider factors unique to women. In the investment space, factors typically considered are income, savings, spending, risk aversion, regulatory requirements, market returns, and volatility. But the three factors that are unique to women are life expectancy, income gap, and of course, employment gap. This means, on the average, that women may be under-allocated in equities in critical periods during their long-term investment horizon. And equity, for anyone who, just a brief explanation, is about ownership in an asset or company, such as the shares of a company. So the English is that we've been told we spend too much money on our hair or our nails, and so because of that, we're not putting enough money into investments into the marketplace. Again, there was so much today about how investing in women boosts economic growth. I saw one statistic that said if women's participation in the workforce were to match men's, it could add up to 28 trillion to the global annual GDP. Of course, we know that employed women are more likely to invest in our children's health and education, leading to better outcomes for the next generation. We know that companies with a requisite representation of women executives are 30% more likely to outperform other companies. What else? More financial security, transaction efficiency, less reliance on exploitative financial service providers. The list goes on. It's facts. When women invest in ourselves, our power, our strength, we give birth to positive change in an exponential fashion. It's also facts that the barriers for advancement are there, so we need to take the reins. Let's not wait for someone else to empower us. Let's take our place, our seat at the table, in the classroom, in the office, in the boardroom. Maya Angelou, who's an American poet, has said, "I've been female for a long time now, and I'd be stupid not to be on my own side." I'm going to close with one last story. A couple months ago, I was at Starbucks. Everyone knows what Starbucks is, ubiquitous American company. I guess it's global. I was wearing a suit, but I'm 55 now, so it was a much nicer suit than the one I was wearing when I got out of law school. I want you to know that I'm at Starbucks, And the workers at Starbucks wear black and green, and usually they have on a hat and an apron. And please note, my suit was not black. In fact, it was a very pretty color of blue. I don't wear green. I think it makes me look too pale. So I'd ordered my favorite beverage, which is an Earl Grey tea with soya milk and a spoonful of sugar. And as I was waiting at my table for my tea to arrive, in my suit, some man turns to me and pointed at the table and said, "Would you please clean this table for me? I'd like to sit down." So what did I do? Instead, I tried something new and also very old. I turned to him and I gave him a disapproving glare. And then I got my tea, and then I walked out of Starbucks, and then I smiled. Thank you very much.